Woo! What's going on, guys? Owner's Forum coming to you guys today with another video. In today's video, we're going to talk about some Lions signings. They went out and signed linebacker David Long. He was out there on the free agent list. That Lions locker room, that linebacker room, is getting a little bit depleted. Especially after losing Alex Anzalone just this weekend, just this Sunday. And they pick up another linebacker, and he's a pretty decent one. We lost a few guys so far: Jalen Rees-Maben, Derek Barnes. The list goes on and on with his injuries on this team. But let's talk about David Long. And I thought this was a pretty good signing. If you guys follow my channel, I really appreciate you guys for that. And I don't usually report on everything that the Lions do, like with practice squad stuff and guys that get elevated and blah blah blah, this and that. But I thought this little signing right here is a good one. He's not a world breaker or nothing like that, or a game changing type guy, but it's a solid signing by the Lions. David Long, 28 years old, 5'11", 225 pounds, so an undersized linebacker. His stats: he went to college, West Virginia Mountaineer, 3 years there from 2016, 2018. 252 tackles, 41 tackles for loss, 10 pass breakups, pass deflects, whatever I want to say. Fumble recovery, 2 forced fumbles and 14 sacks, 3 years. His best season was 111 tackles, 19 tackles for loss, 4 pass breakups, 1 fumble recovery, 1 forced fumble, 8 sacks. 2018, that was his best year. That got him drafted in the 6th round, 2019, by the Tennessee Titans. And he spent 4 years at Tennessee, 6 years altogether, 1 year in Miami, 2 years in Miami, actually. Well, 1.5 years in Miami, and now he's going to be Detroit. But a total of 6 years in the NFL, counting Miami and Detroit. His NFL stats are 381 tackles, 26 tackles for loss, 11 quarterback hits, 15 pass breakups, deflects, 3 forced fumbles, 4 interceptions, and only 1 sack in the NFL, which is a little bit surprising to me, and I'll explain that in a bit. His best year: 113 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 6 quarterback hits, 1 forced fumble, pass breakup, only 1 sack. 2023 as a Miami Dolphin, that was last year. It was his best year. The Dolphins ended up paying this guy, after he did his 4 years in Tennessee, they ended up paying him a 2-year contract worth $11 million. I haven't looked into the details of the contract. My guess is that he was an easy out this year. $11 million isn't a ton of money, but it's a good chunk of change. You know what I mean? It's $5.5 million per year, if that's how you want to count it. Whatever the contract was, I'm sure the out was good though for the Dolphins. Now this is a guy, David Long, who tweaked his hamstring this year in like week 3, week 4, whatever. He ended up missing a game. I believe it was against forget who he missed the game against. Maybe it was the Colts, can't remember. And he ended up losing his job to Anthony Walker Jr. After like week 5 or whatever it was. Long was then moved to special teams and eventually waived. Nobody claimed him. Lions signed him. Now, don't know what happened in the Miami locker room. Don't know if it was, if he was salty, if he was upset about getting replaced after his hamstring was kind of healing up. But he didn't lose his job, straight up. This was the guy that they gave some money to, and they put the C on his chest. They gave him the captain's label. So this is the guy that, 6th round pick, kind of worked himself into a second contract in the NFL, which doesn't happen a lot. It happens, but it doesn't happen a ton where guys get paid a little bit of money. And he got paid some money. $11 million is no chump change. And he gave him the C starting gig. This kid was ready to rock and roll. He's got like 40-something games under his belt as a starter too as well. Now Anthony Walker Jr., the guy he lost his job to, is a pretty good one. He's a little bit bigger at 6'1", 235. Very productive in the NFL. He's been in the, especially with the Colts. He had a lot of he had a 110+ tackle season in Cleveland as a Cleveland Brown. Colts 4 years, Browns 3 years, and then with the Dolphins in 2024. So 8 years, a vet. Long's a vet too, but this guy, Anthony Walker, is no joke. He's a pretty good linebacker himself. Now, whatever reason, that didn't work out in Miami with David Long. maybe the system, who knows, the scheme, the coaches, who knows? But he did losing his job, demoted to special teams, and after that, I don't know if he demanded to be released, demanded to be traded during the time where the NFL trading was going on. It's just, so be it. That's it. He got released. End of story. I mean, it's not that he's a bad player. Now, Long joins a linebacker group with Jack Campbell, Malcolm Rodriguez, Ben Neiman, Trevor Nowaski, who plays a little bit of defensive end too for the Lions, Ezekiel Turner, and Abraham Boplay on the practice squad. Ezekiel Turner has been kind of like elevated to the 53-man roster the last couple weeks. They might have even signed him to the roster, but he's been on the roster for the last couple weeks playing special teams. So that's the kind of group he's with. Now on IR, we talked about it, Derek Barnes, Alex Anzalone, which is a pretty sick. Barnes and Anzalone are two significant losses. Don't forget about Aiden Hutchinson playing defensive end spot. That burns too. And losing Jalen Reeves-Maybin. Now, don't know. Anzalone's supposed to be back in 6 to 8 weeks. That's playoff time. Hopefully, you know what I mean, that we get that NFC title. We win the We win the NFC. We get that bye. Anzalone can even rest a little more, but I think he'll be back for the playoffs. Jalen Reeves-Maybin, I don't know if he's season ending, and Derek Barnes, I think may return back as well. Just don't know. But we've lost some linebackers. Now David Long in this defense kind of fits. He's on the practice squad right now, though. So, and we'll talk about that as well. He fits the downhill defense that Glenn loves to run. One thing this defense loves, or Aaron Glenn loves to do, they love linebackers that can play the run. They really do. I think they covet that. And that's one thing that Long is excellent at. He's an excellent run defending linebacker. That's what he does probably the best. And he can blitz. Even though that you don't see the numbers with the sack totals and stuff like that, he doesn't have a lot of sacks in the NFL, like one. He has like one, but he can blitz, he can run blitz, he can pass blitz, he can do a lot of things. He's shifty, he's smaller at 5'11", 225. He can get under some guys, he's slippery. So the one thing that I think the Lions are going to try to get this kid on is obviously playing the run, a little bit of pass defense by blitzing and rushing the quarterback, causing some chaos, being violent in that way. Just doesn't have those numbers as a pass rusher, and I think that's going to change. I'm not saying that this guy is going to come in and have 8 to 10 sacks, but he could get a couple, and he just caused some chaos, caused a little bit of havoc anyways. So, because you saw that he was capable of doing it as a West Virginia Mountaineer in college. So we had that capability with like 14 sacks at the college level. There's a little bit of go, but it did happen. So he's capable of doing those things. The one thing that I don't think we're going to see from this guy is him dropping back in pass coverage. He's not going to run with running backs. He's not going to run with the tight ends. He's not a passing. He's not a cover linebacker. We're not going to really see that. That's more going to go to now Jack Campbell, maybe Malcolm Rodriguez, Ben Neiman. You might see those guys doing that, putting a little bit more on their plate, and having David Long kind of just sitting there, playing the run, maybe getting to the quarterback a bit, play some run blitz, play some run D, all that stuff. I don't think you're going to see a lot of him dropping back into coverage. This guy was an excellent run defender. One of the best linebackers probably in the NFL the last few years at playing the run. Really was. If you want to go by PFF, okay? If you want to go by PFF, if you watch him, you can kind of see it. The eye test is better, but PFF has him kind of ranked pretty high. Not this year, though. 2023, he was like a top 15 linebacker, maybe even better at playing the run. I got it written down, ranked run defenders and all. He's violent, he makes good reads most of the time, and attacks. He sifts through blocks, he's slippery, blah, blah, blah. He's not perfect, though. He's a guy, this guy was, you know what I mean? You can see, sometimes you see two sides of his work. One where he makes a play, and then another where he makes a misread on a play and then gets burnt or gets beat. You know what I mean? Tries to guess a lot. That's one of his downfalls. He's kind of a guessing linebacker on where you're going to be. Sometimes he doesn't guess right. Now, being one of the better linebackers in the NFL, you set yourself up to a higher standard. And I think right there, that's what this team is looking for him. You know, they're going to coach him up. This team they don't shy away from guys like this. You know, this was a guy that's a good football player. This is a guy that was a good football player. They did it with Kaminsky. They kind of brought him back. Remember Charles Harris a couple years ago? They kind of did it. Charles Harris had one or two good years as a Lion. Kaminsky had a solid 1 year as a Lion. I think it's in that same kind of mold. You know, they're going to hold him to a higher standard. He's going into a room with Kelvin Shepard as a linebackers coach and Aaron Glenn as the DC. These two guys are no-nonsense guys. Not saying that the guys weren't no-nonsense in Tennessee or Miami. Just saying, I'm talking just from a Lions fan and how we know about our Lions coaches. And it doesn't hurt that Terrell Williams, who's our run coordinator and D-line coach for the defense, knew him back in Tennessee. It was 4 years, I believe, with him. Never coached him up as an individual, I don't think, because he was a D lineman coach. This guy was a linebacker. But he's seen him. He's been around him for 4 years. He probably, you know, obviously Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, asked Terrell Williams, what do you think about this kid? Is he worth bringing in? And he obviously signed off on it and said, yes, bring him in. He's got some talent. And he is a talented kid, just not perfect. He's undersized. He's 225 plus. You know, he can run a little bit. He can't cover though, but he can play the run really well. Plays a little bit fast sometimes, a little slow. You know, he needs to work on some stuff. He needs to be better at some things, and he's excellent at some things. But he's going to be a guy that's going to play. Now, when are we going to see this guy play? Now, my guess is they brought him. This move happened yesterday, so I can't see him playing this week. It's a little bit different. He's not coming in as a defensive end or a wide receiver where they can give him a small little package and say, this is what we're going to run with you. He needs to know the language, the scheme, the system, all that stuff on where to be, where not to be. It's not going to be one of those things where they can just put him in the middle, at middle linebacker or Will or Sam, wherever they're going to kind of put him. It's not going to be that situation. So my guess is that we're not going to see him this week versus the Colts at all. And then we have a short turnaround and we play again on Thursday. So it's only like 5 days later. So there's a chance we might not see David Long for 2 games. There's a chance. So Lions fans, don't get all up in your drawers and be all upset that David Long, is not dressing. I know a lot of people don't know about David Long. You know what I mean? And I don't blame you. Man. I had to do a little bit of research on the guy. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know every single Lions player, every single player in the NFL. I wanted to do my research a little bit on this kid before I did my video. You know what I mean? I wanted to get other people's opinions. That's what the internet's for. That's what Twitter's for. That's what everything is for. You get some opinions. You see some highlights. You see lowlights. You see all kinds of things on the kid, and you just watch yourself. The guy, you watch him, because this is the thing. You put together a highlight reel. You go on YouTube and you go highlights. David Long Jr., whatever his name is, linebacker, Detroit Lions, or the Miami Dolphins. What do you put? If you go search for that, you're going to get nothing but good things. You're going to go, wow, this kid's a stud. But so you actually want to watch maybe a little bit of game film on the guy, not just highlights, lowlights, whatever you want to call them, where you can get a good read on the kid. So I wanted to do that a little bit. I heard about this news last night. It was a little bit late that we signed him. I knew we were going to sign him. I talked about it in my prior video. I said that we were going to sign somebody, not him, but I did mention his name. I mentioned Deion Jones and I mentioned David Long, that there was chatter about David Long, and they went and signed David Long. So I knew they were going to do something. They had to. You can't just lose 3 linebackers and not sign nobody. I'm even arguing with people online about it. Like, some guy told me, why ruin the chemistry? It's not about the chemistry. They have the chemistry, obviously, but if you start losing guys to injuries, they're going to try to sign someone. They got to replenish something. That's like you have to do something. You can't just sit on your heels and think that Abraham Boplay and guys like Trevor Nowaski and Ben Neiman are just going to be those guys. You know what I mean? With Malcolm Rodriguez, it's not going to be that. Now, those guys are going to start to step up their game. Campbell, Rodrigo, Boplay, if he even gets elevated. But Neiman and Nowaski, they need to elevate their play with Anzalone out. Someone's got to figure it out. Someone has to step up. Hopefully they all do and they all contribute, and I'm sure they will. But this was inevitable. It was going to happen. They had to sign somebody, and I think this is a good signing. I just don't know when he's going to come into the mix, because linebacker's on an easy spot to play. It's not, especially at the NFL level. Especially at the NFL level, and him coming in like yesterday, last night, whatever he came in, he's just getting to practice on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, like tomorrow. Who knows what's going on? He's not going to dress this week. I can't see it. And he might not even dress against the Bears. We might see him against the Packers in 3 weeks. That's what it might be. But luckily, we got a couple home games where he can make his debut at home, which is solid. So that's really it, guys. Another man's trash is another man's treasure. That's what that's a saying that goes around a lot in the sports world. What's his name just used it from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin just said it about Patrick Queen. Patrick Queen had a pretty good game against his former team, Baltimore Ravens. He plays for the Steelers now. And that's the quote he used. Another man's trash is another man's treasure. And this could be that situation. Now, is he going to take over the spot? Who knows? But I know he's going to be part of the system, and he can make some plays here and there. And that's what we want. That's what we want until Anzalone comes back, and then they figure out what they do with him then. But until then, David Long, a Detroit Lion, a solid pickup by Brad Holmes. I love it. I really do. I think it's a good pickup by Detroit. A must kind of pickup. They needed to do something. So that's it, guys. Really appreciate you guys coming and watching the video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the bottom right. Don't forget the notification up top on the right again. Don't forget to like, comment, share this out. David Long Jr. I don't know if it's Junior, but David Long, linebacker, Detroit Lions, in the house, part of a winning formula, a winning team. We're going to the playoffs, man. Let's go. Detroit Lions, Detroit versus everybody, grit. Boom. Thanks, guys.